Do you think, Michael, do you think it's murder?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I said it in the beginning, and I believe it to this day. You must remember, Michael told me repeatedly that they were going to kill him, that he was going to die.
And who did it?
In the last few weeks, a large amount of ugly, malicious information has been released into the media about me. Apparently, this information was leaked through transcripts in a grand jury proceeding, where neither my lawyers nor I ever appeared. The information is disgusting and false.
See this arm? This is as far as I can reach it. Same with this side over here.
Because of what happened at the police station?
Yeah, at the police station. And what they did to, if you saw what they did to my arms.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And you put this dress on, and huh? What? The prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. And I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. And finally he's like, and he leaves. And then like the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. Now the producers comes, come on, David, would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why they be putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress, I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine, think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene, hot damn, how did you write the scene so fast? They're trying to convince me I'm insane. They were trying to get me to take psychotic medication. I said, I'm not taking this medicine, man, because I know these people be trying to control you or maybe discredit you. I was afraid like...
When did the color of your skin start to change?
Oh boy, sometime after Thriller. Around Off the Wall, Thriller.
And what did you think? I mean,
it's in my family. My father said it's on his side. I can't control it. I don't understand. I mean, it makes me very sad.
Say Jew me, sue me, and some people are saying that that is anti-Semitic.
It's not anti-Semitic. But when I say Jew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kike me, don't you black or white me, I'm talking about myself as the victim.
People still are not, they don't feel they've heard everything about the whiteness of your skin. Is it to be neither black or white, neither to look completely male, to be in the androgynous zone? Where does it come from?
I think it creates itself, nature.
Tired. I'm really, really tired of the manipulation. I'm tired of how the press is manipulating everything that's been happening in this situation. They do not tell the truth. They're liars. All the forms of popular music, from jazz to hip-hop to bebop to soul, you know, you talk about the different dances, from the cakewalk to the jitterbug to the Charleston to breakdancing. All these are forms of black dancing. If you go to the bookstore down the corner, you won't see one black person on the cover. The minute it became the all-time best-selling albums in history in the Guinness Book of World Records, overnight they called me a freak. They called me a homosexual. They called me a child molester. They said I tried to bleach my skin. They made everything to turn the public against me. I know my race. I just look in the mirror. I know I'm black. Let's not leave this building and forget what has been said. Put it into your heart. put it into your subconscious mind, and let's do something about it. We have to. We have to.
You must remember, Michael told me repeatedly that they were going to kill him, that he was going to die.
And who did it?
You start out the most popular person in the world, make a lot of money, big house, cars, and everything, end up with penniless. It is conspiracy that you do it on purpose.